for that. And Rob, of course, Summer League is going on tonight. The Memphis Grizzlies beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Chet Holmgren, who everybody wants to see what he becomes in this league, played 30 minutes for OKC. They lost, as I said. He had 10 points, 3 of 8 shooting, 0 for 4 from Trey.
Oh, very nice.
11 rebounds.
Is his career
3
over?
blocks. No. I think he's going to be a good player. 6 turnovers, though. Not a great game tonight.
6 turnovers. He had more turnovers than a bakery, Chris. He had more turnovers than
Wow,
baskets.
is that a new one? But, Rob, he looked like freaking David Robinson compared to Brandon Miller, the second pick in the draft. And another tough night. Now, his first game, he scored 18 points, but 12 of them came in the fourth quarter of a blowout. The whole game was a blowout, so I don't know if that was much different than the second, third quarters. But he made it look good on paper by scoring, 12 of his 18 points in the fourth quarter. But tonight, Rob, he had 6 points. I'm trying to find where it's at. Let's see. I want to get the box score. Rob G, help me out if you can. But he played. They Charlotte was blasted once again, and I believe Brandon Miller. I'm trying to find it on my computer, Rob. Okay, what were his numbers?
Final stat line: Brandon Miller in 28 minutes and 8 seconds worth of action. 2 for 4 shooting, 1 of 2 from 3.
So now he doesn't more to
free
shoot.
Throw line.
Say that again. 2 for 4.
2 for 4. He finishes with 6 points, 4 turnovers, 7 assists, which is nice, 4 rebounds, and my favorite for the summer league, 8 personal fouls.
Wow, and he had 7, I think, the first game. He looks bad. Look, I'm not going to overreact.
Is the game too fast for him, Chris? Is that what? Why would you have so many fouls?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, guys were blowing by him. He's had trouble keeping guys in front of me. And he also looks exceedingly thin out there. He looks kind of slight. I'm not going to overreact and say he's going to be a bad player. But I'll say this, Rob. This is not a good start for him at all. At all. And we talked about it, how he didn't play well in the tournament, which gave me a little pause, but I kind of overlooked it like, okay, he'll he had a bad tournament, but he'll be okay. But, Rob, one of his games, he was scoreless. Another game, he had only 9 points. And then one game, he had 19 points. First game, he was scoreless in 19 minutes. Second game, he had 19 points. And then the third game against San Diego State, 3 for 19 with 9 points. So it's weird, really weird. But, we'll see what the kid becomes. Hopefully it'll pan out for him because they passed on Scoot Henderson. And even I think LaMelo Ball is a very good young point guard and could be great. So they don't need a point. But Rob, if you take Scoot, and this is hindsight for me at least, because I thought Brandon Miller wasn't a bad pick. But if Scoot becomes this great player, then you have one of them as trade bait if you want to, you know what I mean? And LaMelo 6'8", you probably could have played them together to some degree, although I like Melo with the ball in his hands. But, we'll see. But it's just a slow start for the kid. We're not going to bury him, but
I just think, I get it, Chris. It doesn't look good. It's not the way you want to see a guy who's been drafted. You got hopes and dreams about. I get all that. But a couple of games in the summer league, I'm just not going to be like,
no.
Oh my God, what did they do? This guy can't play or whatever. Right. We're not at that point. Let the guy get comfortable. Everybody's different, and maybe he's a little nervous. He said he had some jitters. Right? That's natural, Chris. You get out there.
Well, I agree with you. And we had Antonio Daniels on, right? And what we say, he said you shouldn't put any stock in summer league. Good or bad.
Right.
If
We
he
see
came
guys
out
do
scored
great.
30 every game, you still wouldn't be like, okay. I mean, yeah, look, a little, you're like, oh, wow, okay, he's doing his thing. But we're not going to overreact one way or the other. I'm just saying, so far, not so good. All right, Rob, let us go here. James Harden. Now, last night, Michael Rubin had a huge white party, or yesterday, and it was celebrities all over the place, including a lot of NBA players, including a lot of Philadelphia 76ers. And their photos of Harden yucking it up with Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris and all these Sixers teammates. And I'm not basing this on those photos, although it's good to see that, hey, they're still cool. But I'm just basing it on the landscape, Rob. I think James Harden needs to just stay in Philadelphia. I think it's the best situation for him because he has said, or at least the reports are, that he wants to go to the Clippers. And I would love him with the Clippers. I think he and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard would be a great big three. But I just can't count on them being healthy. There are three teams, the Lakers, the Suns, and the Clippers, that you are obligated to say, if healthy.
Right.
Whenever you talk about their future, if healthy. The Clippers, though, Rob, more than anybody.
You can't.
Would you agree with that?
There's no way you can talk about them without putting that as a prefix, Chris. It has to go first.
Rob, Paul George, since he's been with the Clippers 4 years, has missed an average of 35 regular season games.
Crazy.
And this year he wasn't available for the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard, 40 regular season games a year and only played 2 games in the playoffs. So my point is, if Harden were to go there, obviously there's a good chance that they're not whole. And let's say they just have a decent season. He's a free agent. I mean, I don't know how well that's going to bode for him. George and Kawhi could opt out after next season, or refuse to, pick up their player option. And then he's there kind of by us lonesome if they want to bring him back. Whereas in Philadelphia, he has the MVP. He's a point guard. One thing I always want, if you're a great point guard, is a great big man. He's got that. You got a nice number 3 in Tyrese Maxey. And I would not pick them to win it, Rob. But they'd have a shot. I mean, right? They're a contender. They are a contender. Probably lower on people's list, but they are legitimate contenders in Philadelphia. And they got a new coach who I think is a good coach. Nick Nurse, championship coach. And if Harden balls out and say they go out in the conference finals or whatever, if he just plays well regardless, he puts himself in a better position to get one last good contract in free agency. So I just think, Rob, the best situation for him is in Philadelphia. Now, if the Sixers trade Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris for Damian Lillard, I mean, he could play with Dame. But then maybe they would trade Harden to the Clippers for role players. But I just think if I'm James Harden, the best situation basketball-wise is the Sixers. And I don't know, Rob, what other really good team out there is even going to really be in the James Harden business.
Who would want to be in the James Harden business from the standpoint of the stuff you just mentioned? Chris, it's a crapshoot. As good as he is, it's a crapshoot, and you can't depend on him. A, there's a health issue right there. B, a disappearing issue in the big games in the postseason.
Yeah, that's more with him than he had the hamstring, but
I'm just saying,
yeah.
But there's a couple things. So all I'm saying is there's a couple of reasons to want to pause with James Harden. And that's why, Chris, he had to opt back in with the Sixers and not opt out because there weren't all these suitors.
Right.
Like that's the and I'm sure that was a rude awakening when his agent said nobody's calling. We got spam calls coming to my number, but ain't no GMs calling.
Right. Even Houston, right?
They went the
And I
other
don't know
way.
if his people put that out there to create leverage, but they said, nah, no thanks, and which I think was smart on their part.
And maybe they never were really in it, Chris. We remember we kept talking that they hadn't shotting it down, but they never went out said, oh, yeah, we want James. Nah, we never saw that. So maybe that was a leverage thing, and other teams didn't buy it. They were like, oh, okay, well, we're not interested. For a player of that caliber, and I get it, he's getting older, Chris, but my God, for people to just say no mas on James Harden, and that's what they've said, essentially, is he's done enough damage in enough places. Like, you were with the Sixers, you won Game 5 in Boston, you had a chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and the first thing you're doing is talking about you want to go somewhere else. Who wants a guy like that? I don't.
You got the MVP. You have Rob. And this, I feel the same way about Embiid. I really don't want to hear in the future him talking about, I need to go get traded. Because the reason they have not gone further is Embiid and Harden have not delivered.
Chris.
That's it. And we know Doc's track record of blowing, whatever.
Right.
The big two guns, Harden and Embiid, have not delivered either.
Nope.
So you can't, I don't think James Harden or Embiid can pass the buck. Right? Man, I need more help. What?
You were right there. You won Game 1 in Boston without Embiid. You won Game 5. Chris, you know how important Game 5 is on the road? And you went to Boston and won a Game 5 on the
for Game 6. Yep.
If I told you a team won Game 1 on the road without their best player and won Game 5 on the road, you would tell me that's a team that won a series. I don't care what anybody said. If you told me that.
Absolutely.